Today, we're talking about a true icon, one of the most powerful, most celebrated, and most brilliant artists of our time, the one and only Viola Davis.
So let's start with a very, very exclusive club. You see, in the world of entertainment, there's this ultimate achievement, kind of like the Grand Slam. It's called the EGOT. That means you've won an Emmy for TV, a Grammy for music, an Oscar for film, and a Tony for theater, the whole shebang.
Now, how exclusive are we talking? Well, in the entire history of all these awards, only 18 people have ever managed to pull it off. Just 18.
And yep, you guessed it. In 2023, Viola Davis became the 18th person in history to join that elite group, cementing her place as an absolute, undeniable legend.
So that just begs the question, right? How did she do it? How does someone go from the very, very bottom to the absolute pinnacle of their profession? To really understand her story, we have to go all the way back. And her beginning is a world away from the red carpets and the award stages we see her on today. She was born on a former slave plantation. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Her story doesn't just have humble beginnings, it starts right there in the deep, complicated soil of American history. And those are her own words. Soon after she was born, her family moved up to Rhode Island, but things didn't get any better. This wasn't just a tough childhood. This was a daily fight for survival. And she has been unflinchingly, brutally honest about what that life was really like. Living in apartments that were literally condemned, having to look through garbage cans for food, and even being put in jail as a 2-year-old toddler when her mom was arrested at a protest. But in the middle of all that chaos, she found an escape, a lifeline, the stage. Acting became her passion, and it became her way forward. It took her from her high school to college and eventually to one of the most famous drama schools in the entire world, Juilliard. But even at the top, she found a whole different kind of struggle. She said her classical training, all the Shakespeare and Chekhov, it taught her technique, but it completely ignored the work of black playwrights and black stories. It taught her how to be an actress, but in her own words, it denied her own humanity. So, after Juilliard, she began her career on the professional stage, and this is where she would forge her incredible, unparalleled craft. And you really can't talk about her stage career without talking about the legendary playwright August Wilson. Her work in his plays basically amounted to a conquest of Broadway. Right out of the gate, a Tony nomination for her debut. Then boom, she wins her first Tony in 2001, and then she does it again in 2010 for her role in Fences. She didn't just perform his work, she inhabited it. So she's a master of the stage, and from here, a celebrated theater actor becomes a global screen icon. This is the breakthrough. And what sparked it all? One scene. I'm not kidding. Not a leading role, not even a big supporting part. One 10-minute scene in the 2008 movie Doubt, acting opposite Meryl Streep. The great film critic Roger Ebert just said it perfectly. He called her 10 minutes on screen the emotional heart and soul of the entire film. And get this, he called it a confrontation of two equals. Think about that. He's putting her on equal footing with Meryl Streep. That one scene was so powerful, it got her nominated for an Oscar. And the momentum just kept on building. On TV, she didn't just win, she shattered a huge barrier. She became the first black woman ever to win the Emmy for lead actress in a drama series for her iconic role as the brilliant, complex, and oh-so-messy Annalise Keating. And then came the Oscar. She went back to that role she had mastered on Broadway, Rose Maxon in Fences, and delivered a performance that felt like it had been lived in for years. It was a true masterclass, and it earned her the Academy Award, making her the first black actress in history to get 3 Oscar nominations. But here's the thing, winning awards is only part of her story. Viola Davis has used her platform, her voice, to build a legacy that goes way beyond the characters she plays. Her activism is deeply, deeply personal. When she talks about an issue like childhood hunger, she's not just reading off a statistic. She is sharing her own story. She was one of those kids. You can draw a straight line from her own struggles to her advocacy today. She works to end childhood hunger because she knew what it felt like to be hungry. She donates money to her old high school's theater program because that was the program that saved her life. And hey, remember her criticism of her training at Juilliard? Well, she's not just talking about the problem. She's creating the solution. Through the production company she started with her husband, she is making a space for the very stories and voices she felt were missing when she was coming up. When you look at her whole journey, from that sharecropper's cabin to the absolute peak of her profession,
it leaves you with this one powerful question. What is it? What is that fire that turns such profound struggle not just into survival, but into a truly legendary legacy?